That's a gay-ass podcast.
What? That's a gay-ass podcast. What? A really, really, really gay podcast that we call That's a Gay-Ass Podcast.
That's a gay-ass name for a gay-ass podcast.
Brian and Judson from Dads and Daddies are here on That's a Gay-Ass Podcast. Don't you feel like this is a crossover that's been just begging to happen?
Yes.
I just refer to it as Podfest.
You know what? I have been known to watch sexual materials on the interweb in my past, and so I think Podfest has a certain hot ring to it. I'm fine with it.
I mean, daddiness is not without that angle. In some circles.
That's true.
Right?
You know what? Do we find, I mean, well, we have so many topics to get into. I already want to do hard-hitting questions, but before we do so, can I just brag about how amazing your podcast is? You launched it a little more than a year ago, like a year and a half ago, and it's
almost a year and a half, yeah.
It's become one of those podcasts that people love for not only just the horny tales, but also you're both so great about being honest about what it's like to be adult gay guys, to be married, to be in open relationships. For the listeners here who might not be familiar with your podcast, can you give me a bit of a breakdown? If both of you can give me okay, I've been married for this long.
Yep.
We've been open for this long. What's the sort of slut package you both bring to the table?
Sure. So I'm the dad of Dads and Daddies. I am married to my husband, Toby. We've been married just over 11 years and together for almost 14. And we have two daughters, one of whom is about to turn 10 any day now, and her younger sister will turn 7 about a month after that. We opened our relationship not quite 2 years into it, so just about, I don't know, maybe 6 months before getting married. But I feel like it only stepped up in its power, let's say, maybe in the pandemic, and certainly having this podcast and having active conversations about it on a weekly basis has also stepped it up, because it's also stepped up our comfort with talking about it with each other and all of that. So I'm about to turn 52, and sometime between my two daughters' birthdays, and that's me.
A gorgeous snapshot. What about you?
Hey everybody, I am the daddy in the Dads and Daddy pair, sexual and spiritual.
Yes.
My husband and I are in an age gap relationship of 19 years. I'm the younger. We met when I was 27 and he was 47. We have been together for 15 years and 1 month. We just celebrated in Eureka Springs, Arkansas last
Shout
month.
out.
Yeah, shout out to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. We have been together for 15 and 1, open for, I would say, 14 and 11.
Wow.
We met just before Thanksgiving, and we went to our first sex party together, I think shortly after that following New Year.
So you really are sort of an advanced gay, because at 26, I feel like a lot of gay guys are still grappling with shame or fear, and you clearly have always liked a daddy. I mean, now being a daddy yourself, that must be sort of an interesting full circle, because I myself love a daddy, which is probably why I love the podcast. But if we can first go into the age gap of it all, because I have been sort of that topic has come up in my life as I have friends who are dating, and the question is, dating with a big age gap versus no age gap at all. What would you say was the biggest obstacle when you were first dating, and did that obstacle continue, or was it pretty short-lived?
Oh gosh. Well, I think that's a good question for both of us, because we're both in age gap relationships, but on the opposite ends, right?
Yeah, I'm the older of our relationship, but by 9 years, so not nearly as big an age gap, but yes, but an age gap.
I think, I appreciate what you're saying about being a little more advanced at 27. I did know myself pretty well, but also, I hadn't even gotten sober yet. So, that whole journey was yet ahead of me. I think something that existed then that doesn't exist now is I was a little lost, and I think my now husband saw just a lot of potential in me as a human. But when we're thinking career wise, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I think he just had a lot of patience with that. There was a little bit of an angle about like punishing parent when I would make mistakes or do silly things or just get mad and quit a job, which I would like never ever do now. The hot breath of debt is strong, so I stick to it. But it's been really fun to age together because I do feel like it's leveled out a bit. Like the gap feels so much less acute and really only comes up when we're discussing like the popular culture of when we were children.
For me, I always remember this story. We started dating during season 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race, which is a bit of a religion, or has been in our house. And the reason I remember
remind us who was season
this
4.
was the Sharon Needles season.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and I am a kid at heart. I have an obsessive personality, and I love a live show. And Sharon was performing. They hadn't the finale hadn't aired yet, so we didn't know that she had won. But everybody was rooting for Sharon, and she was performing at Esquilita here near Times Square. And I took Toby and a bunch of our friends and, got VIP tickets. And when we got there, the VIP tickets were all like on the perimeter of the dance floor, which meant there were so many people in front of us. But they were at these like raised tables. And I said, no, I don't want anybody in front of me. I paid for VIP because I want to be right up front. So I made Toby come on the dance floor with me. And then right before the show started, they said, okay, everybody on the dance floor, you have to sit down on the dance floor. And so I made him sit cross-legged on the dance floor, even though all of our friends had these amazing seats at a table at these high rises. But at that point, we couldn't get back to the table. And so he was so annoyed with me. And that night he said, I think you might be too young for me. Like I'm the younger one in many ways in our relationship. Like I'm the Disney gay.
Yes. Age is just a number. It's very much
my point exactly. Yeah.
It's very much a mentality. I think it's really refreshing though that you both have been able to sort of talk about your experiences so openly on the podcast. In fact, I find as we're both kind of uniquely right now talking to like fellow gay podcasters, I feel like it's a very specific experience that we, the three of us have.
Yeah.
But in one of the interviews I read about you two, Brian, you said that you've actually been very scared to be this open on the podcast. And I don't know about you, Judson, but has the podcast affected the way that you move through the world at all? I know it's helped your relationships a bit, but what would you say is maybe your favorite or something that has surprised you about sharing so openly on your podcast? And then, of course, I'm going to get into some of our, if we can complain, because I'm Jewish, I love to do that. But let's go first positive.
Well, I'm Jewish, and
thank God.
Jason's husband is Jewish, so yeah.
Thank God. Okay,
Yes.
so we're surrounded by Judaism. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, would you say there's anything that's been like surprising or exciting or great, or that's been a part of that fear you had with sharing so openly?
This summer was so telling in Provincetown. I really felt a particular level of like gay famous. And what was really cool about it was not like, oh, hey, stud. It wasn't that. It was, hey, man, you said something and I thought about it. And then I brought my thoughts to my partner, and now we engage in our relationship differently. So thank you. And it's just like, whoo.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, wow, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if I was prepared for that element,
Right.
but I was a little more prepared to be so open because I had run these streets as an insane alcoholic for so long. I thought there was nothing I could do sober on a podcast that would embarrass me any more than I had done when I was just like out there being a fuck up. So I was ready.
I mean, for me, the fear came from the fact that I have 2 young kids. I'm very prominent in their school community.
Yeah.
I'm not right now, but I was, for the first year or so of the podcast, the co-president of the Parents Association at their school. I'm very well known in that circle, and so to suddenly be open about being open felt a little scary. But But the origin of the podcast was that Judson and I ran into each other on the subway a couple years ago when we moved in the same circle of friends, but we didn't have a close one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I had a hookup that morning that had gone a little awry, and I was feeling self-conscious about it, and I could just feel that I could talk to Judson about it. And I opened up to him, and we ended up having this incredible conversation. We live in the same neighborhood in deep Brooklyn, and we were going into the city. So it was a 45-minute ride. And the conversation spanned so many topics, from our marriages to our families we grew up with to, hookups and bottoming and all kinds of stuff. And I thought, gosh, I know so many people who would love to be having conversations like this, but don't have the people in their lives to have them with. So why don't we have them and let people pull up a chair? But like Judson is saying, what I didn't expect is the emails and DMs and just the way people come up to us on the daily that tell us how seen people feel, how they've taken this, like Justin said, back to their relationships, how it's really helped them. We were, the two of us and our husbands were at dinner, not in a gay neighborhood, and there was a gay group sitting next to us, and at the end of their meal, they stood up and said, "We don't want to interrupt, but your podcast has really helped us in our relationship." And we felt like his husband was very sweet and said, "Well, you want me to take a picture of all of you?" But yeah, like Judson is saying, that was completely unexpected. I did not. I knew that there were people who wanted to have these conversations. I didn't realize how much this would touch folks.
Oh my God. I mean, I even am not even sitting at that dinner table with you, but I can feel as someone who has watched your podcast and listened and seen your rise, I'm just like feeling a weird sense of like pride and excitement. And it makes me feel like a little verklempt, because I think that there is so much shame that we are taught as young people when it comes to like being gay and being horny or just being, expressive, period. And to see people like you be really just like honest and unapologetic about it. Because listen, the reason why I have you on this podcast is, sure, I'm a fan of yours, but also we talk about sluttery in a very open way here. Yeah. And of course, once I do put the paywall up is when I go into more of my own personal things, because I still deal with the same idea of like my own shame. When Matt and I opened up our relationship, I was convinced that I would never talk about it on the podcast, period.
Right.
And then I found myself talking about it in one episode. In fact, I stupidly called the episode "Please Don't Listen, Mom." And guess who listened? And so once she listened to that, I was like, well, cat's out of the bag.
Right.
And so from then on, it's been sort of like actually a beautiful lesson in why don't we just share our truths and maybe other people will feel inspired, because the word slut is something we talk about with pride here on That's a Gay Ass Podcast. Yeah. Would both of you say you identify with that word slut?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Proudly so.
Okay, good. Can you, since the listeners I'm sure are going to want to know, what went awry in the hookup the morning that the two of you...
Bottoming is hard. I clean out, with the best of them.
Of course.
And listen, Justin will tell you, I'm a very courteous, considerate person. I'm always thinking of others before myself.
Yeah.
And so I do everything I can to make sure I'm as clean as can be, but sometimes the body does what the body does, especially with a top who has stamina, like real stamina. Like after a while, there's only so much that you can do. And that morning was my second time hooking up with the person I still esteem as my ideal hookup. Like, there's just somebody who he's so hot.
I know him. He's a babe.
Yes, I have thankfully had a third hookup with him since then and redeemed myself. But anyway, at one point he had a lot of stamina. He pulled out at one point, realized it had gotten messy, and he very sweetly, stopped and said, like, let's clean up. But once that happens, then like for me, it's done. And I just, he was very sweet about it. I've had other tops who have not been so sweet about it. Yeah. But even that, I feel like, is evolving in the community. I feel like the more people are talking about sex, the more people are like, listen, the body is what the body is. And, I don't care if it happens. And, but anyway, I just felt mortified because he was my ideal. And it just stopped because he realized...
When you say ideal, are you talking about, is there like a physical attribute? Is there an energy? Does he have a huge house?
It's definitely an energy. I mean, yes, there's a physical attribute. He's very lean, but also very... defined. He's, I hold a very soft place in my heart for a younger man. He's I mean, I don't know that his age has changed on the apps in a few years, but I believe he's in his late 20s, early 30s. And
The gap is still the same, right? Like we're getting older, but so is he. But the
well,
gap is still
exactly. And he's also very like romantic in the moment. We talk on the podcast, or at least I do, about, in a hookup moment, for me, there's like a certain degree of play acting where like you do feel, or I do feel, quote unquote love in that moment, even though it might expire the second we come
Right,
or I
right.
leave the apartment. Like I need that sense of romance. I need a good kisser. Like for me, making out is, a significant percentage of the hookup. And he's a great kisser. He makes you feel so special. It feels romantic. He's just as hot as they come. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what makes him my ideal.
he has
I mean,
this sort of
it's
like, for lack of a better, because I know him sexually and socially, and
We live in the same
we live in
neighborhood,
the
so
same neighborhood. I see him at parties.
have you hooked
He
up with him as well?
I've hooked up with him at Inferno.
okay.
And
Which
what's
is
Inferno again?
a party.
It's a party in Brooklyn.
Oh,
But I
hot.
think this was before I hooked up with him years ago,
Yeah.
before all this happened.
Yeah.
But he has this sort of like feline type energy,
All right.
and it's just I don't
Mm.
know how to I don't know. It's like very, very sexy.
I'm a dog
A
person.
feline
Yeah, no, I
top.
get that.
We love
It's
a
an
feline
invitation
top.
for sure. Yeah.
Well, it sounds very appetizing, and I would love for this feline top to purr on my pussy.
Yeah.
However, I think that when you talk about the idea of like intimacy in the hookup, I think there are so many feelings about open relationships, as you very much know with your podcast, and anytime you
Yeah.
post anything about an open relationship, there's like some 19-year-old somewhere that's commenting, I hope this love never finds me,
Yep,
fuck
yep, every
this.
time.
And I understand to a degree. I mean, think about when you were both in, let's say, your teens and 20s. I feel like if you were to be like, hey, I am going to envision my future, you don't envision yourself in like a great coupling that's you're fucking a million people. That's just not what we were taught as like
Right.
the ideal thing. Like heteronormative culture was very much like, that's bad.
Right.
But now that we're inside of these open relationships, I think it's like we know that they can be great. But
Yeah.
do you feel like you've ever internalized any of the shame that people project onto you?
I will say this. I love what you're saying about how we essentially, especially coming up when we came up, like I was a teen in the 90s, and it's like there was very little to look at out in the culture in terms of what gay love and gay partnership looked like. It was certainly
Yeah.
better than in like the 70s and 80s, from what I understand, having like spoken to someone like Brian or even my partner. Like I was not there. I do not know. But in comparison to now, where you have so much to look at and so much to model from, there is this one for one ideal, right? And I have to admit, one of the reasons that I started to pursue open relationships anyway was because I didn't believe that men couldn't cheat. I didn't believe that
Mm.
men couldn't cheat. So rather than like have that weaponized against me, I thought, okay, if we are going to just be wanting to have sex with other people, is there a space where we can do that like lovingly? And I think even just saying that, like I got into open relationships because men cheat, can be misinterpreted so wildly. Like
Yeah.
that is not the motivation for why I'm in an open relationship. It's not because I don't trust my husband. It's because I want to
It's the opposite. It's because you do trust
I
your
do
husband.
trust him, and I want to gift him, because I love him, the pleasure of being with. We live in New York City. Are you fucking kidding me? Like you're gonna just have sex with me for the rest of our marriage? Like, get over yourself. Like, grow the fuck up.
Well, I feel that way about like a lot of young people right now. Like I'm confused, if I'm being honest, because I think that look at representation, sure, like in Hollywood and just like in general, like I feel like we're living in a very accepting era for gay people compared to when we were younger, compared to when, of course, generations before us. But they still, when it comes to sex and open relationships, the sentiment amongst young people online is very like, I don't know,
Victorian.
Victorian. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Shouldn't they embrace living outside of heteronormativity? Like,
Yes, one would think. I mean, listen, yes, to answer your previous question, I of course have internalized shame around openness, but in realizing And again, a lot of it has come through having active conversation about it week after week, which is why the point of our podcast is to encourage conversation.
Yeah.
What I've realized is that, and we talked about this. Brandon Kyle Goodman was on the podcast recently, and we were
Love.
talking about we're not always looking outward. It's just this mindset of freedom, and like Judson said, like removing the idea that cheating could be something weaponized against us. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like we trust each other and love each other so much. Let's just remove that as something that could ever come up as an issue. And let's have
Well-
this freedom. But it doesn't mean I spend all day, every day thinking about it or trying to pursue it or like, and I also have an incredible sex life with my husband and I love my sex with my husband. And, you know, we do that thing that people find unsexy where in which like we have an agreement to have sex on a weekly basis. It's not on the calendar, but we have an agreement that whatever the first night of the weekend is, that we are not out or that we are not doing something with the kids, that we actually have a night at home, we will have sex, you know, and we call it a date night. And we'll say at some point in the day, like, we're having a date night tonight, you know, and sometimes, most often it'll be yes, sometimes it'll be no, and we'll figure out why, and we'll move it to the next possible night.
Okay, let's dive into that for a second.
Yeah.
So, for fellow people who are either in long relationships or like initiating sex can be scary for them. Do
Yeah.
either of you have a trick or a word or a nod or something that cues your partner that like, hey, I want to fuck?
So my agreement with my husband is sort of less formal, but very similar.
Yeah.
We're very busy dudes. I am so grateful that we still have sex. And I think we can comfortably go about a month without even thinking about it. But after 15 years of marriage, like, I'm not that pressed about it. 5 weeks, 6 weeks starts to feel like pretty itchy. 2 months, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So before we even get there, I will just say to him, like, hey, I'd like to fuck around this weekend to just like get it into the ether.
Yeah.
And then whenever we're both home and things seem kind of settled, you're absolutely right. We do kind of just look at each other like, oh, this is the moment. Yeah. The last time that we had sex in that way, we were planning on taking a nap and we both got into bed. I had used the bathroom before I got into bed, and when I got into bed, he was naked, and I was like, well, that's a perfect signal.
Great signal to me.
Yeah. Oh, you're naked? Got it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for us, the reason I need to have sex with my husband once a week because I need to know I still have, you know, significant degree of insecurity just about myself, and I need to know that my husband still wants that with me and finds me sexy. And so, so we had just agreed very early on that that's our schedule. And like I said, we just say to each other, are we gonna have a date night tonight? And we've also spoken very openly and honestly about the fact that I don't want to always be the one asking that question. So he also, because we've had that conversation, he'll take it upon himself to do it also. But we're very blessed in that we're still very into each other.
Thank fucking God. I mean, it's
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
Matt and I have very much like had to talk about this in couples therapy about like how can we find the balance of the openness and spending time with each other, and we're very much still a work in progress when it comes to that. But when you talk about like your insecurities and your honesty with that, it's so refreshing, but also so relatable because I'm again a fellow Jew, and I feel
Yeah.
like it's like baked into our DNA.
Yes.
It's like I don't know. I don't really know what. Is it because our ancestors were like forced to leave their lands and we feel insecure? And, like I don't know
We
where
were
the
never good
internal
enough for our parents. I don't know.
or just we just didn't become doctors.
Yes, exactly.
But I think that
I did not expect us to be gay podcasters talking about sex.
maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I should really unpack, which is that this is my job. But can we get into, since we're getting towards the paywall of it all, I want to start to get into like more specific sluttery,
Yeah.
especially as this is a horny podcast. Have you either of you had any recent hookups, or maybe let's just go zoomed out to a general, like if there's any stories that come to mind that was either incredibly formative, hot, surprising, shocking, any sort of hookup tale that you would like to deliver to us?
This is rather recent. This happened on Halloween. I shared this on our podcast. Surely there's crossover of listeners, but hopefully this will bring you over. This situation floored me. So I had gone into this, I live in Brooklyn, and I had gone into the city on Halloween night, which was a Friday night, to see the band Daisy Grenade at Le Poisson Rouge, which is directly east of 6th Avenue.
Hmm.
Why does that matter? Because on Halloween night in the village, the parade is up 6th Avenue. So because I could get from the train to the concert venue without hitting the parade, I was like, this is awesome. And because I do what I always do, which is turn on sniffies when I'm in a new neighborhood, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be hot to also be able to hook up with somebody who is also east of the parade route? Like, I knew that anything like 7th Avenue, 8th Avenue, the waterfront, I was like, you're out because there's
Right.
no way for me to get to you. Sorry. Like, on a normal day, absolutely. But like this particular day, no. So this guy messages me and he says, are you polyamorous or just open? And I said, I'm only open. I'm not looking for a relationship, just sex.
Yeah.
And he said, if you ever are looking for a boyfriend, hit me up. And I thought that was so flattering because you're kind of basing it on such little information. I have, I've worked to present, a decent sexual object in very little real estate, but like to be your boyfriend, crazy. I thought
Wait, and this was all from your Sniffies profile?
yeah. Yeah.
Girl, give me the pointers because your profile is
Yeah,
inviting
exactly.
suitors. Good job.
Include a face pic, right? Is what I have found. It
Yeah,
really
yeah.
it really like levels.
Yeah.
You get less
Do you still
traffic.
use the picture?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I used to have a picture that had my face in it of me getting fucked because I feel like that says it all.
Yes.
But I've switched it out.
Okay.
I get antsy and I'm like, anyway, if you include a face pic, you honestly will get less traffic, but it is higher quality.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm assuming this conversation is over. Like, this guy wants a boyfriend. I'm unavailable because I'm married and open. That's not the same thing as polyamorous, although they
Yeah.
are under the umbrella of ethical non-monogamy. And he says, you know what? I would like to make an exception. Will you please come over and find me blindfolded and ass up? And I was like,
For the rest of this interview, head to Substack, linked in the description. You can also watch bonus episodes with Mikey Graceffa from Death Becomes Her, Isaiah Rutledge, Sunset Boulevard's G-Min Moon. We have Derek Cage, Patrick, Nick, Thanos, Mark. They're all hot. The stories are amazing, and you should go check it out at substack.com/@EricWills, linked in the description. I love you, bye!